Hey y'all, and welcome to another video. So for this one, it is the continuation of Kujou Sara from Genshin Impact. So needless to say, on the last video, no, the one before, I ended up doing this sketch of Kujou Sara, and then this one is the coloring session. So sometimes I like to be able to break this down because a lot of times with the sketch, I feel like you miss out on certain aspects when you have to cut out so much. Because I understand. We don't want long videos. Long videos are not the best, but it is really good if you have ASMR in it. But this video, I was not able to have the ASMR because there was too much background noise, and it seems like what could go wrong went wrong that day. But yes, I hope everybody's doing well. You're staying safe, you're staying hydrated, and staying cool if you're where it's really, really hot, because that's just miserable. I do not like summer. I much prefer colder weather. It is much nicer. But yes, so we're starting out in the background. I could almost kick myself in the butt because the background, I should have just left it. But you know me, I end up messing with stuff, and then sometimes I end up going too far, and then everything goes crazy. I think towards the end of this one is whenever the glitch started to happen, and then my iPad was freaking out because it was too much going on, and it was not the best of times. So I ended up not finishing it out completely like I wanted to, but you know, we live and we learn. So for this drawing, needless to say, it's Kujou Sara. She's in her pose with her bow. I did do a larger stance on her, meaning that at first I had more of the bow visible, but then on my reference, as you see in the upper corner, it does not have her whole entire arm visible. So I ended up cutting part of that out, and it kind of helped me out a good bit. But yes, I actually took a reference of some lightning clouds off of Pinterest, which Pinterest is an absolute wonderful tool for references if you don't already know. There are many artists out there that already does all these tutorial videos, and there's a good chance that somebody knows. But you know, for the few that don't, Pinterest, it's a go-to and a must. But let's see here. So something else I came across recently is that I'm trying to, of course, make a more consistent look on my videos, meaning I really like the retro look, and I wanted to bring more of that out. Now I'm halfway contemplating making a rigging system, maybe, potentially, who knows, of my character here in the webcam. So needless to say, in my videos I end up putting the pictures of my character, and many people probably don't know it, but I individually put in time out several of the pictures, and it's a lot if you do that for an extended amount of time. So I am maybe looking into figuring out how to rig things. We shall see. I don't know, it may not be successful. But we'll try. So I'm researching that, and if anybody has any 2D rigging tips, that would be great, because I have no idea. Needless to say, I don't want to have an overly rendered character. I really love 2D, and I just want to keep the character plain and simple. That's the key to this stuff. It's just plain and simple. And I really should take my own advice the majority of the time when it comes to these drawings, because man, I worked very long on it. Oh, well, I'll say very long. Honestly, the whole entire process of it probably took me about, I would say, 4 hours, which is typically my usual time frame, 4 to 5 hours. And I ended up over focusing on certain spots. I tried my best to do the cell shading, but then I ended up getting so involved in it that I kind of forgot what direction I was going in. And I wanted to have it to be more, I should have just kept it on mind, 2D, just think 2D, just think basic color, basic layout, and go from there. But once I get started on something, I end up just going, how can I say this, like balls to the walls of rendering. I don't know if that's appropriate way to say it, but I go heavy with it, and then I end up having a full-on semi-realistic piece and almost a realistic piece, and I'm like, this is not what I meant to do. Not at all. But I did focus more on trying to, in the beginning, laying down the base colors and figuring out where my lighting was going to come from. And I really want a light to come from her bow, because whenever she does go into her idle phase, or even whenever she, well, I do it on desktop, but you press R and it goes into the focus part of the bow. I don't know what that's called. Oh my gosh. But the focus part of the boat, and I ended up looking at it, and it has like the rings and then the little lightning pieces coming off of it. So I thought it was a really good concept to try to bring out, and to also put it more like semi-realistic, although I really wanted 2D style, but I'm getting there. I do have a Tarzan piece I'm working on too from Disney, and I may post that, I may not post that. That may be a Procreate time-lapse, honestly. But yes. I hope everybody, like I said, is doing well. And if you are drawing, and if you are posting your drawings or doing your own video processes, I hope it's going well for you. As I mentioned before, I'm just mainly doing a lot of this to hold myself accountable, and hopefully it helps somebody out there in the world, but if it doesn't, that's okay too. It's okay. Gotta take life with the ups and downs, focusing on positivity and focusing on growth, because man, it's hard out there. The art community, it's very difficult, and trying to research more on how best to put out your videos and to put out your style and to have it to where others are able to find your content. Like, there's a lot of figuring that goes into it, and maybe one of these days, who knows, maybe not, I will get that one lucky break and be able to have the videos more viewable. If that's the right term, viewable for more people or something, I don't know. But I will be trying to focus more on that as well too. I'm not trying to over focus on things, but I would like my content to be more viewable for others. So we're just doing the full on, basically just putting down the base colors. I was very pleased with how our eyes turned out, and I really like how the coloring layout worked. Now, honestly, if I would have just left the background alone, but we know me, I am not going to leave something alone, and I start thinking, well, maybe they don't stand out enough. But honestly, what I should have done is I should have stepped back from the picture. I should have stepped back, walked away, went and drank me some water, because I am terrible about not drinking water, and they say that drinking water is very, very important, and I should know because I'm also in healthcare, so I should know this. But no, I don't drink a lot of water. I drink more coffee and teas and more coffee, top of coffee, than water. So this is a reminder. If you haven't already, go ahead and get you some water. Drink you some water. It'll do you good, right? But yeah, I should have just stepped back instead of trying to just push through the whole entire drawing process and hoping to film everything that I could film. I really, like I said at first, I really wanted it to be more ASMR, but there was just too much going on, and the printer in the background was still printing at that point in time, and it was just too much. So yes, I tried to also, whenever I was laying down the base color, to keep in mind and focus that in order to save time, I put down all the base colors, and then I could just pull from the drawing itself without having to go to the color picker and select the colors over and over. I do like the way that I sketched her out. I will say that much. As I mentioned before in my last video, whenever you do something digitally, it's so much easier to me personally than traditional now. So we will be practicing some more in the sketchbook. I think we've got another Genshin birthday this week coming up, Tartaglia, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm halfway contemplating, should I do a sketchbook piece or just do some practice images on the sketchbook and post that along with a fully rendered piece, or just, I really don't know. I want to practice more on the sketchbook, but I don't know how best to be able to show it to others. And yes, I'm not going to be one of those people that only wants to show my absolute perfect piece, the one and only piece that shows it is 100% fabulous, there's no errors in this, and everything is hunky-dory, because honestly that is not life, and that is not who I am. We are all about posting and sharing our successes, if there's a lot of them, and also our failures. I have found that in life in general, I typically learn from others, even whenever they don't have a lot. I am so sorry for the dog in the background. It's the only dog, honestly, that really likes to try to interrupt things, but I hope it's not. As I mentioned before, I have done a new mic. No, I have a new mic for my videos, and I hope that it helps out. Oh, maybe. Okay, back to the drawing we go. But yes, so I focused on the base colors. I went from there. I worked on trying to figure out what base color to use especially for the gloves, because I didn't want to do just a straight up black, because that's not 100% realistic and stuff. Yes, you could use straight up black if you're just going for some base colors that don't really require too much rendering on top of it. But honestly, the gloves themselves, from what I was researching, it seems to be more of a purple hue versus the blue hue. And that's another thing too, I'm learning more about color theory, and it's enough to it just blows the mind and the process and the thinking of, oh my gosh. But, so, for the darker parts, this part may look black, but I promise you it's not. It is actually just very saturated, and I guess it would be on the hue spectrum? Hue and saturation, so it's very saturated, but it's still on that purple hue. So it kind of all goes together. So you'll notice that like her sleeves and her top and her gloves, like all of it is pretty much all the same color. And I think after a while I realized that the part of her upper arm should also have part of the glove. As I mentioned before, there was not very many references of this pose, and it was very, very challenging to say the least. But we all learn with each drawing we do. And also, if I were to just continue to do the same old pose over and over and over, the same portrait style over and over and over, and not showing some variations, then I myself as an artist would not grow. We've got to be able to step outside of our comfort zones. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in life, like we get so stuck in our comfort zones that we're getting, I don't know, like complacent maybe, and then we're like, okay, this is it. This is all that life or art or anything has to offer, and there's not much to do. So that's whenever you start taking some variations, some changes up, to look at life a little differently. Look at your art from a different perspective and be like, this is an interesting pose. Oh my gosh, I've never done this pose before. You know what? Just do it. I mean, it may not turn out to be the best. I, for one, like in the last video with that sketch of Hu Tao, poor Hu Tao, I'm so sorry for making you so derpy. But it's all a learning curve. It's how we learn. Practice, practice, practice to show improvement, not perfection. We all have to start somewhere in life, and it's the beginning that really counts. And the main thing is just to go do it. Go start it. Get your sketchbook. Get your iPad. Get your whatever that you draw with or draw on. And it really does help. The more you practice, the more you do. The repetition, it is key. It really is. You can't just start it and stop it and then pick it back up several years later and then start it and stop it. Like, repetition is key in being able to grow and to see the variation and the differences. As I look at this poor sketch of Tartaglia in my sketchbook. That's another thing. Okay, so does anybody have any advice for doing sketchbook in a sense that you're getting your head perspectives correct? Because I am not 100% the best at this. I understand the rule of thirds and the way the face is supposed to be split up and all this stuff, but for some reason or another, I don't know what it is. Either I make the faces too fat or too skinny, and then also the hair is not always in the most accurate places. And it's like I start out with all these bases of what everybody else has also mentioned, and it does not seem to flow right. But yeah, any recommendations? I would be greatly appreciative of them. Also, too, I probably said that several times already, but it's okay. Also, part 2. And so in learning and making videos and bringing content out and talking about the Genshin games or Honkai Star Rail or any of these other games out there, or even down to the animes, feel free to share like advice for like future artists or future gamers, or just anything that you yourself have come across or something that you feel like you would like to learn more about. Because we're in a community where we all kind of like lean on each other and learn from each other. Not to say that that's it like in a bad way or anything, but it is helpful to have advice out there, be it one person's advice or several. It's just helpful. Sorry, this video is more of a rambling video. I had a lot on my mind whenever I was like about to film this, and then it just comes out as like word vomit. I'm sorry. But yeah, see, this is where, honestly, I think my iPad started to have a glitchy moment, was whenever I was messing with the saturation of things, and then I started to do the little rings on there from her bow. So with this, it actually is a brush. It's already in Procreate. It's in the It's in that tab. And it's called the light pen, if I'm not mistaken. And you can choose different saturations of colors, and it also helps out with the light coloring. And something else I've learned too, that sometimes the effect itself is a little bit much. So occasionally I will do a Gaussian blur, or either I may switch the layer settings, but I really wanted the purple to be more visible. And like I said, I could just, I wish I didn't mess with the background, or I should have duplicated the background after my first initial thing, because hey, it is what it is. And honestly, I just need to stop messing with it. You ever get to that point where you're like, oh, I can't really tell if this is doing this better, or if this should be done this way, or that should be done that way? At that point in time, it's probably best just to step back. I'm speaking from experience, and I'm sharing my experience. Just step back. Like I said, go get a glass of water. Drink a glass of water and sit back, relax, look at something else for a little bit, and then come back to it. Whenever you come back to a piece, you'll be able to see things differently. It's almost the same concept if somebody were to like flip the canvas. Like, that's just the basic my mindset and thinking of that. And it may be wrong. I don't know. I am not a professional by any means. I'm not a teacher, but I like to share my thoughts and processes and stuff. And hopefully it helps somebody else out there. If not, I'm just rambling to the internet space and bots and learning community and whatnot. But yes, I mean, this world nowadays, it's crazy, especially in the art community. Like, you can't even go on like looking up for ideas and stuff on how to best draw this angle or this angle without somebody having in the feeds or whatnot, like talking about AI stealing your art, AI tracing, AI this, AI that. It's like everything. I understand that it's like a trending topic right now, and that's one of the recommendations is to always do trending topics, but I'm too focused on my own stuff at the moment. I don't have time to focus on trending topics. Trying to grow as a YouTuber is very hard. It's very difficult, but it helps to, like I said, just throw ideas out there. It really does. But as I mentioned, it's just things it's hard in the art community. I mean, technically it kind of always has been hard until like you hit that right niche, however you pronounce it. And apparently there is also a sub niche for people. I mean, I have been learning so much about videos and how to post them. On top of this, speaking and learning and teaching, I made a pixel brush, and I kind of wanted to make my character pixel for a little bit there, and then I thought about it and I was like, oh, this can be a little bit difficult, but I may still try to do that. And in the meantime, of me trying to potentially do this, I also will probably shoot a little tutorial video on how to make a pixel brush, and I've learned it from other artists as well, and I don't know, I just feel like it'd be something to be nice to share. Because some videos, if you've made it this far, thank you for making it this far and to listening to my ramble while we're drawing Kujou Sara and working on the rendering and the lighting. And this is another part where I started to look at it and I was like, man, I really should have left that background alone. But if there is anything, like, honestly, I will still probably do like a little tutorial video on it. I mean, I won't make it long. I would just make it short, sweet, snippy. I mean, like maybe a 5-minute tutorial of how to make the brush and how to use the brush, and then you as creators can take the brush dimensions and the everything and go have fun with it. Go make your own little pixel art. But yes, I'm thinking about doing that too. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm thinking about doing, and sometimes it's more so of a motivation issue. Hence why these videos hold me accountable, as I mentioned before, in doing all of the Genshin characters' birthdays. And my word, with Natlan coming up and those cool characters, oh, it is. I've been seeing all of that on my Twitter and TikTok, and it's no longer Twitter. It's now X. That sounds so wrong. Like, who else does not like it being X? I miss Twitter. I miss my Bluebird. But yeah. So that's been popping up on all my feeds and everything, and I'm just like, these characters, they're gonna be amazing whenever they are out and for the public, and I so look forward to Natlin. Oh, I have a feeling that whenever it all comes out, like, I'm gonna be gushing so much about Natlin, and I'll probably be like drawing Klee. Y'all will probably be like, why are you drawing Klee? You should draw this character from Natlin, or like draw him in Pokemon style. That's another thing that would be so cute. Oh my gosh, that would be so cute, pixelated, the little Pokemon Natlin characters as pixels. But anyways, I have no idea where I am in this video. This is a ramble video. This is a throw my thoughts in this kind of video, and I do apologize. If you have made it this far in the video, please, please, please like and share and follow. It can be in that order, or it can be in any other order, but interactions are greatly appreciated. I will continue to make content in the future, and I don't know about the next video. It may just be a Procreate time-lapse, and then I don't know if I'm gonna make it a voiceover or not. I really want to, but then I'm like, I don't know. We'll have to probably change it up and do just some cool music in the background. I like the retro style stuff recently, if you hadn't noticed from my intro, and also the background and some of the stuff here and there. Yeah, this is the point where my iPad was freezing up. It was freaking out. It was just not having it. It was all over, and I was tired of fighting it. So I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm just gonna show the time-lapse replay, and we're gonna go from there. So here's the time-lapse replay. So I ended up actually using the same dimensions from Instagram and times it by 4. So that's why this canvas is a different size versus the usual 5x7 canvas, or even sometimes I end up doing like an A3 size, I think it is, which is a larger canvas versus the 5x7. But yes, I have learned you do it on a bigger canvas, and then whenever you import it for your images, it does much better. But anyways, thanks for staying to the end. Hope everybody does well, and you're fabulous, and staying hydrated and safe in this crazy world that we live in today. And until the next video, bye-bye!